All right, we are back, my friends. Let me make sure my microphone's working. Haven't done this in a few weeks. Yeah, it's working. Okay. Well, it is, I don't even know the date anymore, September 4th of 2021. Welcome back. This is my first week back in a couple weeks now. As some of you know, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for a lot of the messages. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for checking in. As some of you may know, I was pretty sick here the past few weeks with COVID-19, and it's been a really uphill battle. I'll share with some of you some of the symptoms that I experienced because I think it might be helpful for some who might not know or might just be interested on the recovery process. So let me just do a quick introduction of myself. And I don't know how long I can go for, just so everyone knows. I'm already drenched in sweat, and I'm not sure what type of lung capacity I got going on with me right now. But let me tell you this. My name is Param, for anyone watching for the first time. I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I'm a licensed advanced alcohol and drug counselor. I'm also clean and sober. And I am really grateful to be here and to have this opportunity to talk. Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate it. So let me just give a quick little update to everybody because there was a lot of people who helped. I know special shout outs to my wife who, quarantined with me and supported me through the whole 2 weeks. And my mom and dad who were just like little angels. They dropped off a lot of stuff on a daily basis. And man, I don't know how people do it without support. I really don't know. So it's let me just share a little bit about this, because I'm not a medical doctor. So please, I'm not going to talk anything medical. I'm just going to talk about my firsthand experience with you. And it was really interesting, because the past year and a half that you guys have been on this channel watching me talk, family education support. I mean, I live a very, 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 very ultra healthy lifestyle, right? In terms of juicing, in terms of meditating, in terms of yoga, in terms of Pilates, in terms of exercising, getting outdoors. As you all know, I've been clean and sober since 2008. So it's not that I have any underlying substance abuse issues or anything going on. And I stayed active the entire time, the entire time. I didn't take a break during even the midst of the pandemic in terms of my self-care routine, which I always talk about. And to start coming down with something a few weeks ago, I really didn't think it was going to turn into what it turned into. And I'll tell you guys this, so I experienced a lot of the common symptoms that people experience. What's up, Julian? In regards to fevers and excessive fevers, 102, 103 degrees. And but what happened to me was after about 5 or 6 days into the COVID, I started to feel really sick, in terms of I thought I had to go to the hospital. I was having a hard time breathing, shortness of breath, fever came back again, reintroduced itself. And I developed a secondary bacterial lung infection. And man, I'm telling you, it's I could barely go 2 or 3 steps without being short of breath. My fever was back. I had to take a lot of medication for it. Took some antibiotics for it. But all that being said, it's thankfully it seems that I'm doing okay and made through. Thank you, Angel. Thank you for the text messages and the kind words and support. I don't know how much weight I've lost or anything like that, but I did go a full 7 days without eating solid foods, which is the longest I think I've gone. And it was really tough. So the reason why I wanted to make this talk today for everybody, on the COVID-19 pandemic has nothing to do with my own symptomology, which it looks like I'm finally turning the corner, even though I really am drenched in sweat. I mean, I can't even tell you guys how soaked I am right now. What I really want to share with you guys is just my case is, even though it was a really, really extreme form of the virus, because for the most part, by the way, as we all know, many people don't develop for the most part, people don't develop these severe symptoms, but there are people that get hospitalized, man. And that, I had to talk to a doctor just to make sure I didn't need to go into the hospital because of my breathing was so impacted. But I do want to talk about this COVID-19 pandemic and the impact that it has, the impact that it has on mental health and addictions and substance abuse and recovery and families and communities. Because I don't know if you're privy to the news, but it doesn't look like it's going away anywhere anytime soon. And, August 31st, for those of you who might not know, August 31st is International Drug Overdose Awareness Day. I do know there's a couple family members, by the way, that watch this that have lost a loved one to overdose. I'm not going to use their names, but if you're watching this, I love you guys. I'm hopeful that you're able to find a little slice of peace in this year moving forward, and hold on to that slice of peace. And if there's anything we can do for you guys, here for you. But yeah, so the 31st of August is International Drug Awareness Overdose Day. So when you look at the pandemic, my friends, I don't know if you guys are aware of these new numbers by the CDC, but 93,000 drug overdose happened, estimated in 2020. Now, for some of you might not know any scale of the numbers or anything like that, that might just be a number to you. I will tell you this, that the previous year in 2019, we were somewhere around 67,000. So there was an increase of 30,000 people that had a drug overdose and passed away in the year 2020. Now, here's the thing. We are 9 months into 2021 right now. And if you think that there was a stop at the end of 2020 and in 2021 everything was all of a sudden good, I will tell you this, that's absolute categorically false. That's not a personal opinion. That's rooted in data. That's not formalized yet because the year is not over. But it's not going anywhere, right? And these overdoses that are happening right now as a result of substance use, and I'll tell you this, there are underlying conditions that happen with COVID-19. And one of those is substance use and smoking. Now, they're actually officially added to the list of underlying conditions. Research and data is showing significantly that people with substance use disorders, diagnosed substance use disorders at some point in their life, have a higher likelihood of developing severe COVID-19 symptoms. And when you look at, if you're wondering why these overdoses are happening at such a higher rate, well, my friends, stuff like alcohol, stuff like opiates, the fentanyls, the heroins, they're all respiratory depressants. They slow down the breathing of an individual. Now, I shared with you that I went through COVID and developed a secondary lung infection here this past week. I don't use drugs. I couldn't breathe. And when you add a human being that's struggling with the use of something like, heroin and develops COVID at the same time, I mean, that's just, I can't even imagine the impact that it might have on that human being's lungs. And it's a powerful thing. So yeah, the first thing that I really wanted to talk about was just the overwhelming statistics about the overdoses that we had in 2020 that are still, the trend is still moving in the same direction. And yeah, so many people, let me just real quick before I keep talking, it'll give me a distraction too. Yeah, thanks, Jam. Thanks, Debbie. Julian, I appreciate you, bro. Hossein, thank you. Beta, thank you. Eileen, thank you so much for the kind words and all the prayers that everyone sent. Leah, I appreciate you. Hopefully be back Tuesday. And Munir, thank you so much for the kind words. So the next one right here that I want to talk about is let me see if I can put the question up. So it says, are people at greater risk of developing substance use disorders during COVID-19 pandemic? We still don't have data on that yet. But what I will tell you this is the more stressed out people are, the more they act out in addictive behaviors. Okay, so what is this overall kind of encompassing stress that I'm talking about? What does it really mean? Well, when there is financial insecurity, when there is fear of health, when there is fear of health of loved ones, so people in your world that you care about, when there is job insecurity, a lot of people in the hospitality industry, they still haven't bounced back, my friends. They still haven't bounced back. And maybe people might say, well, hey, so many people were doing this all summer and this and that. But when you look at historically what's happening in these restaurants and these hospitality businesses, they're not really bouncing back yet. So the people that use their livelihoods in these careers, man, when you're looking at people like adult caregivers, right, that might get the person they're taking care of might be sick, and they're now experiencing extended periods of time. And by the way, don't get me wrong, healthcare workers, man, they go above and beyond, but they are also very, very likely to experience severe impact to their mental health. Just because people are doing, God's work in front lines and stuff like that doesn't mean they're immune to all this stuff. They're getting impacted significantly. So the more stressed out people are, the more they act out in addictive behaviors. The more stressed out they are, the more they act out in addictive behaviors. And if you can understand how that leads to substance abuse, well, look, I mean, drugs, alcohol, how do they soothe anxiety? They soothe worry, thoughts, emotional fear, all that kind of stuff. And when the situation isn't changing over an extended period of time, when the situation is remaining the same, what's up, Tony? When the situation is remaining the same, and when I say remaining the same, think about it, my friends. We go back into March of 2020, and right now we're in September of 2021. And you still look at the daily counts that are happening, and you still look at what's going on in a lot of parts of the country where hospitalization rates are through the roof. You look at what's happening in the world, right? And you look at all of the data and all of this information, and it's not that we're through this thing. So if people are using substances, and by the way, if you want to know if people are actually using more substances or not, the question here, are people using drugs more during the COVID-19 pandemic? The answer is absolutely yes. And it's not indicated through my hunch or through my guess, or places like our treatment center getting program participants coming through. Researchers have found increases in number of positive urine drug screens ordered by healthcare providers and legal systems. In these reports, positive screens, fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, methamphetamines have all increased from previous years. So what's happening is regular primary care physicians are screening and capturing on the front lines more substance use. The legal system is capturing more substance use because, again, I'll say this over and over again today, the more stressed out people are, the more they act out in addictive behaviors. I mean, this past week, give me one sec, people. Sorry. Stuff's nasty. This past week, if I was a human being who was using substances, going through what I experienced in regards to my fever, my breathing, my social isolations, all that kind of stuff like that, if I was someone that was already using, the likelihood of me continuing to use during that would have been very high, and the likelihood of me using more drugs and alcohol to be able to find a little bit of rest. I went 3 days without sleeping. If I would have done anything to find a little bit of rest, a little bit of sleep, was very high. Now, thank God that those days are behind me. Thank God I have support. I have coping skills. I have ways that I can reach out and be able to, people were checking in on me. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was happening there for me that made it easier. But to those people, the son, the daughter, the husband, the spouse, the parent who doesn't have that support and their only coping mechanism is substance use, you add this to the mix, and it is very easy to see how substance use can spike up and how it can escalate the use. So yeah, that was definitely something that's important there to talk about. This next one here that I have, let's see if I got the question about young people. I'll just leave this up. But the next question that I really want to talk about also is, how has COVID-19 pandemic impacted young people? So some of you may or may not know. Let's see. Julian asked the question. I want to make sure I answer it. How can we provide more assistance to those struggling with substance abuse and mental health issues through social media platforms? Well, Julian, this is one way, right? I'm sharing on it. I'm using my platform to share on it. And thanks, Adrian. I appreciate it, brother. Good luck tonight in your show, man. Julian, but this is one way that we could use social media in a very positive way to be able to provide support. As we all know, for those people who don't know, one thing that really, really impacted human beings who are in recovery initially, this has gotten a lot better, was social isolation. Just so everyone knows, is one of the top 5. If you're playing Jeopardy, if you will, it's one of those top 5. Or Family Feud, I'm sorry. Man, my brain is so fried. It's risk factors. Social isolation is one of those biggest risk factors that we have for relapse. And at first, when this happened, you take a collective group of people that go to they go to recovery groups, 12-step groups, and you say you're no longer going to meetings and you're going to move on to this platform called, Zoom platform, telehealth. And in the beginning, that was a very hard transition for human beings to go through. People had a really tough time going from going to a meeting every day or 3 times a week or twice a week or once a week, whatever their frequency was, to all of a sudden not going to in-person meetings. This was a really hard transition for people. However, people adjust and they started to do some Zoom meetings, which some people tend to like. Some people don't like it all. And now we've gotten to the point that there's a lot of hybrid stuff going on. There's in-person meetings that at the same time, if people don't feel comfortable or if they just need to attend a Zoom meeting, they can. So we've gotten there. So Julian, that's available. But social media platform, man, is one thing about social media is the fact that people can stay connected. They know they can communicate with each other. And it's just something that I know you do personally. And it's just a welfare checking in on people, making sure human beings are doing okay. How are you doing, by the way, Julian? Give me a little quick answer right now. Might as well. You asked the question. Let me use this platform to check in on someone's mental health and make sure that they're doing all right through a social media platform. Let me practice what I preach, my man. So yeah, just let me know how you're doing. That'd be good to hear. So, but yeah, it's social media is one of those things, my friends. It could be used good and bad, right? So like, who am I really? What Julian said, I'm doing good sleepless nights sometimes. So Julian just had his first son, and he's a proud dad of a boy named Atlas. So he's just kind of doing the young father thing right now. So I'm glad you're doing good, man. Sleep is important. I have a weird relationship with sleep, but sleep is important. Make sure you do your best to get it, man. So the next thing that I have here, the young people. So as you guys all know, I do coach high school basketball, and the school still, if the students want to go to school fully on online, they have that accessibility. But I have and this is a small sample, right? This is one high school in Southern California. It's a small sample size. And by the way, this is the worst part of this whole COVID thing. Not the worst part, but 2 weeks ago, we had our high school basketball tryouts on Wednesday and Thursday. And those are the days that I tested positive, and I started to develop some pretty bad symptoms. And I couldn't go to the high school basketball tryouts, man. That was painful. That was pretty painful. But it's so let me tell you about these kids, and this is just observationally, and this is coming from other coaches that are talking to me, and just feedback that we're getting. There's a lot of young adolescents that are struggling, my friends. Because here's the thing, adults, we have a little different sense and perspective and kind of a skew of the way that we view the world and the way we interact and the way we talk and the way we even think, right? Like cognitively, our brain development is different. So you can't tell me that a 40-year-old man or woman has the same brain development and understanding of life and just perspective as a 15, 16, 17-year-old child. Now, when you disrupt their normal way of living, and they're not used to, because one of the highest impacts that COVID-19 has on people is to those who had never experienced mental health issues before. To someone that's gone through a lot of ups and downs and a lot of life experiences and possibly addiction, this and that, COVID, it was difficult for all of us. It is difficult for all of us. But to like the kid that's never experienced that kind of stuff, it's a whole different number. And I'm just watching it, man. I see it in kids' body languages. I see it in their anxiety. I see it in their voices. I see it in their eyes. These kids are worn out. They're tired. They're fatigued. They're impacted. Man, negatively. And a lot of them aren't acting out with substances because, being on the sports team and, having a team identity, athletic identity, this and that, just being young, they're not there at that stage yet. And I don't know how it's going to impact them long term, but I see it, man. I see the anxiety in these kids. So yeah, it just says the COVID-19 pandemic has created significant disruptions in lives of many children and adolescents around the world. Studies have shown many young people may be experiencing greater rates of anxiety, depression, and other mental health problems. Let's see what Adrian wrote a response here too. Said, also promoting any recovery or mental health support pages or info on your personal social media helps, especially if people don't know. Don't know they're there. Adrian also, by the way, he brings a lot of. Adrian's one of my counselors, by the way. He's I haven't seen him pop up on this thing like this, so he's been really helpful. This whole process. Everyone has, man. I love you guys so much. But he's a comedian, man. Adrian's a stand-up comedian, and he's freaking hilarious. And I do believe he's got a show tonight. Hey, if you want to promote something, Adrian, promote it. I'll put it up on the screen real quick if you want. And feel free to shoot I don't know if you can shoot the link or you write a comment or something, and I'll just put it on the page. I think anyone can join. It's an online event. And, because humor and laughter, bringing humor and laughter to addiction is definitely something during this time of the pandemic is definitely important. So, I'll keep my eye out for it. Let's see what else we have here. Back to, so there it is. I believe it's Rehabs 411 at 5 p.m. tonight, online on Facebook. You got it, man. Good stuff. So go on Facebook and Rehabs 411, 5 p.m. And I believe that's Pacific Standard Time, by the way. Thanks, Adrian. So let me share with you guys real quick. So the question here is COVID-19 in particular concern for those with opiate use disorder? So I found some good, interesting data. So let me just read it for you guys. And by the way, the stuff that I'm sharing with you right now is coming from the National Institute of Drug, NIDA, which it's a valuable and reputable resource that I like the information that they tend to gather and provide. I'm getting through. I don't know how much more longer I can do this, guys, but I'm going to kind of get through a few more minutes here for sure. So the question here is COVID-19 particular concern for those who use opiates or have an opioid use disorder. So very likely, yes. Opioids act as brainstem to slow breathing, increasing the risk of life-threatening overdose and long-term damage to the brain, heart, and lungs. Because of these negative impacts of the heart and lung health, people who have opioids at high doses may be susceptible to COVID-19 and their illness may be severe. So here's the part that I want to share with you, okay? So statistics are always something that intrigue me. They pique my interest. And it says that hospital patients had received a diagnosis of opioid use disorder in the past year were 10.2 times more likely to have COVID-19 than those without. More research is needed. So 10 times more likely with an opioid use disorder to get COVID-19 than those without. And the same number, it's a little bit lower though, but with methamphetamine, cocaine, and stimulant use, the number was 6.5 times higher. And when it comes to those drugs, by the way, just the importance about knowing about stimulants is the use of stimulants such as methamphetamines, cocaines, amphetamines constricts blood vessels and may increase risk of stroke, heart attacks, abnormal heart rhythm, seizures, and conditions that lead to complications. They're vasoconstrictors, so it could really impact somebody and cause them severe permanent lung damage. Yeah, thanks, Tony. I got a lot of love coming in. Yeah. Jim, don't overdo it. It's okay. I was texting with Jim last night or yesterday or some point, and he's like, Parham, I know the way that you think. He's like, I know the way that you are. He's like, just be careful. Don't, just easy does it type stuff. And so I think he's trying to give me a little 2 minutes, Jim. I'll give 2 more minutes and I'll get out of here. Okay. So, yeah, so let me just, we've all, you guys have been watching me do this for, I know you guys got the shop on lock, man. You guys are doing great. You guys know I've been doing this for the past, year and a half, more longer than that. If you count the ones in person, it was, I've been doing this for years, man. And I don't know if, I really had a hard time getting my thoughts together today because it was actually the first time in 2 weeks that I'm talking out loud, like talking. And normally I listen to myself talk, 8, 10, 15, 27 hours a day. I'm constantly talking somewhere. I'm constantly talking to someone. I'm engaged, whether it's on a Zoom call or on the phone or in person or all that kind of stuff. But I just been sitting sitting down and going through it. Oh, thanks, Sarah. I don't think it's good to see the boss back. I don't know if this version of me is considered back. I did the best I could, Sarah. I'm actually getting off right now. But to everybody that is watching and for all the support, man, I love and appreciate you guys so much. If it was really helpful to be able to just get up here and be able to interact with some people. My apologies if the content that I had today didn't match your previous expectation of me or what I normally do on these Saturday talks. But it's sometimes, there's something. Actually, let me teach something real quick. I can't leave without teaching something good. Always do your best, right? Always do your best. What does that mean? It means that your best changes from day to day. On some days, the best could be something, the best performance you can ever give in your life. And on some days, your best could be all that you give. And it's okay for the best to not be the same. It's okay for it to change from day to day. And I'm going to allow myself to accept that this was my best today, even though I know that it's not my general best. But for today, it's the best I could do, and that's okay. And if you ever have a hard time accepting, that in yourself, there's this thing called the compassion gap, and you got to find that compassion within yourself to be able to accept that difference. And so with that, I thank you so much. And I'm going to I'm gonna sign off right now, and I will be back next week. And I have a feeling that I'll be in tip-top shape, and I'm gonna do a pretty damn good job. So I love and appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.